This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview. Hello and welcome to the Research Talks here with Alan Green on Stockbox. Alan, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Mark. It's a fine Friday morning, and once again the weekend looms. Thank goodness. It's been a busy old week.
Well, I'm glad it's a fine Friday morning because I've had a nice week, but it looks like it's going to be a little bit grey today, a little bit cooler, which is a shame. But anyway, the weekend looms, as you say, so that's the main thing. It's the main thing.
Indeed. Well, it's I think we're set for rain at some point over the weekend, but can't complain. The week's been fantastic and good to finally get some summer weather here and at long last. So yeah,
indeed. Okay, well, before we quickly go on to the research talks for today, we can just say we opened our NFT packs for Coincilium's crypto stamp, didn't we? And you got very lucky.
I got very lucky indeed. I was keen to see how the process worked. Obviously, I've got my stamps; they arrived some time ago. But once the packs, or you could open the virtual packs or NFT packs, I spent 30 quid, I think, on my stamps and NFTs, and I've got 2 ultra rares. So. Anyone wants to make me an offer for Dolphin and Rock and Barbary Ape, then please come through and email or call.
There you go. That is very lucky. Buying 10 stamps and getting 2 ultra rares. I bought a lot more stamps, and I did get the ultra rares, but I had more chances of getting it. So yeah, you're a lucky man, Alan, this week. That's for sure. But I'm sure we'll be catching up on Coincilium at some point because that was a big milestone for them yesterday doing that. But today we're going to be focusing on a company called Zenova Group, which looks very interesting. It's like fire, I can understand it's like fire retardant paint. And then Caracal Gold as well. And Caracal Gold is going to be IPOing in about a month's time. And you're going to tell us, your take. I have interviewed Caracal Gold a couple of times, but it'd be good to get your independent take on Caracal and what you think of it ahead of the IPO. So did you want to start with Caracal?
Yeah. Let's start with Caracal, Mark. That's a great idea. So Caracal Gold. This has evolved out of Papillon Holdings and is set to list on the LSE on 23rd of August with the EPIC code GCAT. GCAT. So the company has been set up to acquire and develop underexploited gold mining opportunities in East Africa. And I listened to your interview with the technical director, Gerard Kisby Green. Gerard has 34 years of experience in the mining industry, and he's a qualified mining engineer, spent most of his life working in East Africa and the region. So he's intimately familiar with the region and with the people and obviously the potential there under the ground. So Caracal has raised 5.5 million in 2 tranches, and in the final tranche it raised 2.8 million of that 5.5. Is set to list, as I say, 23rd of August with a market cap of 14.5 million on readmission, and in the process, it has acquired the Kilimapesa gold mine, which is some 230 kilometers west of Nairobi in Kenya, and is also some 20 kilometers from the Kenya border. And this is the region that is the Kilimapesa mine operates in is long established for mining. It's at the eastern end of the Migori Archean greenstone belt, and this covers an area that overlaps into the Tanzanian Creighton and, of course, the Lake Victoria goldfields, and is host to a number of active gold mines and also operators working on the ground. So you've got the Barrick North Mara mine, that's Barrick Gold, of course, Shanta Gold operating in West Kenya, and of course Red Rock Resources. Andrew Bell and his team are also very active in the region too. So Kilimapesa it's a real coup actually for Caracal. In that they've actually acquired and 100% own a producing mine, and the mine has a JORC resource currently of 4,046 ounces of gold, and has mining licenses and exploration licenses across the region. It also takes in the Red Ray prospect as well, and Caracal have stated that, as well as bringing the Kilimapisa mine back into production. Well, it's already producing, but building up production, investing into the mine and the equipment. It will be undergoing and continuing exploration work in the region too. So it's actually a great investment proposition, because it's quite rare to find a mining company that can just go straight to market with an active gold mine that's actually producing, which, if you like, provides cash flow and the bedrock for the growth story, which of course is the continued exploration in the region. So the region has been producing gold since the 1920s, and Caracal have said they are aiming to produce 50,000 ounces of gold per annum. And the overall territory that they will be exploring and producing from is thought to have a resource in excess of 2 million ounces. So that's a pretty impressive number. When the company comes back to market on the 23rd of August, there'll be 1,361,000 shares on admission. An investment firm called DM, a German company, will own 11%, and Goldplat will retain a 7% holding in the new company, and will also have agreements on a net smelter agreement of 1% and ongoing production. Once production KPIs are reached, it will continue to earn from those going forward as well. So the company, we've heard from Gerald Kisby-Green, the technical director. There's the CEO, Robbie McRae, who I think you've also spoken to as well. He has 20 years experience in Africa, and he's been involved in gold and mining projects across 15 or so African countries. The chairman is a fellow called Simon Games Thomas. He has 28 years experience in metals, commodities, and banking, so very much the corporate end of the structure of the company. And importantly, what the company and boards have done, they've very much engaged with the local people in the region, the local stakeholders, and also the local residents and community workforce. The money raised is going to refurbish many aspects of the mine. It's going to obviously bring safety standards up to date, and ensure that it's a safe place for the locals to work. And as the mine comes back into production, there are further projects, and Gerard covered these, I think, in the interview with you. They are looking at projects into Tanzania, Uganda, Ethiopia, and southern Sudan. So very much once Kilimapisa is back up and running to capacity, then the operation will expand and move into these new areas, and exploration will get underway. The mine has been operating. It was care and maintenance up to August last year, and at that point production restarted at a very low level. But as production has continued, new equipment has arrived, and the refurbishment process has got underway. And of course, the two tranches of funds that have been raised have that money's gone into getting the mine back up and running again. As I say, it's acquired out of Goldplat. Goldplat have agreed a 1% net smelter agreement, and they will take shares going forward for milestone KPIs, and the expectation is that they're going to very much hit the ground running in August. And I think, unlike a lot of mining exploration companies that are starting work and then you know looking at results very much in a year's time, I think we're going to see some very strong news flow from the company shortly after coming back to market. So a very investable proposition, I think, and a very, you know, given where gold is at the moment and its importance, given the global backdrop coming out of COVID, I think this is a great opportunity to get involved in.
Yeah, I would agree, Alan. And I interviewed the CEO, Robbie, a while ago. It did prick my ears listening to him about when he said it was producing and then the ability to hit the ground running and really scale up rapidly, but also look to expand the footprint in the area, you know. And you've got a company here that's IPOing that will be able to get gold out and effectively generate revenue, or, you know, practically from day one.
Yeah.
And that is unusual. You know, that is unusual. And we know that that area is pretty good. You know, that Migori Greenstone Belt. We know that the companies in the area. We know it's prolific for gold mineralization. And yeah, again, speaking to the technical director, Gerard, it is quite clear. It seems that the board are quite excited about the opportunity, and there's quite a good team that's been assembled there. So I think it's definitely one to research and to, you know, to listen to some interviews on and yeah, look to maybe participate in the IPO when it or just after the IPO if perhaps it's too late now. But I do think it's definitely an interesting one for sure. It's unusual that you would see a company that can go straight into producing gold.
Yeah, I have to say, when I first started looking at this, I thought, you know, it sounds almost too good to be true. So that they now 100% own as a result of this transaction. And really a very modest market cap, 14.5 million coming to market, and they own a producing gold mine. But if you go to the website, which is of course caracalgold.com, the June 21 presentation is extremely detailed and gives a great overview. And there are plenty of illustrations and slides showing the refurbishment program underway, the ball mill refit program that's been completed, plant refurbishment, and also gold pours at the mine. So you know, this isn't a jam tomorrow project, as we were saying before we came on air, Mark. This is very much a going concern, up and running already. And you know, look at the size of the area as well that it covers. I mean, it's a big plant. It's a huge asset. So this is, you know, I think that it's coming to market at a real discount, and I would expect some uplift almost on the day it comes to market.
Yeah. Good. Okay. Thank you very much, Alan, for that. So now let's talk about something completely different. Zenova.
Yes, indeed.
Right?
Yes, indeed. So Zenova Group, ZED, which IPO'd yesterday. In fact, it came to market yesterday. Had a very successful debut. The company raised 17.7 million and it came to market with a market cap of 17.7 million, raised 4.5 million in the IPO, and immediately it came to market at 19p, and the shares popped straight up to 23.5p, and it's still there today. So huge potential, but it's actually a company that's very much of its time. It was founded in January last year by Tony Crawley, who is the CEO and the driving force behind it. And as you may have seen, I interviewed Tony Crawley on Monday, and we spoke about the company and the assets. And of course, Zenova is all about fire resistant paints, thermal insulation paints, render, and so on. So I'm going to go through each one. It's such a nebulous subject. I mean, the subject matter is huge. But what we've been helping them do over the past week is to articulate by using their product videos just how effective their paints are. So they have the Zenova Fire Paint, first of all, FP, which we've been broadcasting videos of, and quite simply, most fire paints on the market at the moment require multiple coats, and it's a protracted and convoluted process to get the paint applied. Zenova Fire Paint, 2 coats, and you have incredible fire protection. And I say incredible, I don't think that's overstating it at all. There are product videos on the website that show a gas burner flame burning into a tin can of drink, and then another can painted with the paint, and the burner keeps on going, and the paint forms, it bubbles into a foam, and it forms a protective layer. And this is what it does. So Tony, of course, and also Dr. Etrell Barney, the vice chairman, have both worked to bring these to bring the Zenova fire paint and the other products to market. There's the Zenova FX, the fire extinguisher, and the contents of the extinguisher product. It can also be viewed on various videos, and this works on whether it's a fuel-based fire or whether it's a wood-based fire. The efficacy is quite incredible. There's Zenova IP, which is thermal insulation paint, and the potential applications here are enormous. And of course, this is the sectors that they're already working in and speaking to companies and governments around the world. There are applications in oil and gas, of course, when you've got oil pipelines in hot countries. You paint it with the insulation paint, and of course, it'll lower the temperature. In various countries, of course, some countries in Africa, for instance, where there's an impoverished population, there are various initiatives to use unused sea containers, to create temporary housing. But of course, sea containers being steel, they're way too hot in the sun. But if you apply this thermal insulation paint, you then have a habitable living environment. Then there's taking it one step further back, which is Zenova IR, which is insulation render. So when properties are built, the render is applied, so the actual structure itself is automatically insulated against fire. Then you've got the WB, Zenova WB, which is the wildfire barrier. So of course we've seen more and more over the past few years, Australia, Canada, California. We had these huge fires. And the wildfire barrier literally does what it says on the tin. Excuse the pun. Where it literally a barrier is laid down, and of course the fire gets so far and then can't progress over the barrier. So an almost unlimited market to go after, and I think this is very much caught the imagination of the investing or retail and institutional investors. There's a very strong backing. But what I also like is that the management team, Tony Crawley and Dr. Etrell Barney, between them, after the IPO, still own 10% of the company between them, and that's very important to me going forward. You know, if the key people in the business are significantly invested, that's very important going forward. And again, I think anyone wanting to know more about Zenova Group, it's currently got a market cap of 22 million after coming to market, and we expect to hear more going forward about the discussions that they're having with the various organizations around the world. And of course, this is across government. So we have the dreadful legacy, of course, in this country of Grenfell, and what the UK government can do about it. And of course, taking down the existing cladding that's in place is a process that's going to take many years. And one solution might be to use something like the fire paint to create a temporary improvement in safety conditions in those properties. I mean, there are all sorts of potential applications here, and of course, there are applications in automotive. Car fires. If the fire paint is used, then of course that it could prevent the ingestion of fire if that happens. And then, of course, applications in aviation and marine as well. So I've spoken to Tony at length about this, and I think the company's come to market. It's had a very successful start, but I know for a fact there's an awful lot lined up, and we're going to hear an awful lot more about the progress the company is making with the various organisations around the world in the coming months.
So, and this paint will be more for industrial application rather than individuals, consumers in their house?
In the first instance, yes, but there are. I'm sure at some point the company will be developing a version of the product for consumers, so it can be used in the home. But one of the videos on the website shows a fire door, and there's a testing section on the site where the actual test is described, and also the test number is recorded. So, for instance, a test with the Warrington Fire Agency was carried out on a composite plastic front door set sprayed with 1.5 millimeters of Zenova fire paint. A retrofit test on an older door to determine the cost-saving viability of painting versus replacing with new doors. It says the door reached 55 minutes without penetration of flame or excessive heat, which concluded the additional paint applied improved the longevity and integrity of the door, thus increasing its fire-resistant performance. Now, a plastic front door subjected to a wall of flame, 55 minutes, that's a pretty impressive performance by any standards. I think if you think how quickly fire spreads through a building, that's really quite something.
So that wasn't even a fireproof door then, that was just an ordinary door that's then effectively made fireproof by the paint.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, that's a composite plastic front door set. So the application. So within an existing building, if this paint is applied, it automatically makes it so much safer because you've got that resistance in place. And if you look at the videos, you can see the paint's applied on the demo on the 2 cans of drink. The paint is applied, and it's just 2 layers of paint is applied to this 1 can, and the gas torch is applied, and it's just they're burning away, and the paint just bubbles up and creates this protective layer of thermofoam. And it really is quite revolutionary.
Do you know much about where it's sort of come from, or how long they've been working on this? And anyone else in the sector, how come it's not been perhaps discovered earlier? I don't know. It was a silly question, but do you know much about the build-up to this?
Well, I know it was the company was founded last year by Tony Crawley and Dr. Etrel Albani, and whilst there are other paints on the market that they've been working to develop this, and Tony's background, I mean, he's Tony has been working in construction and fire safety for many years. He was the managing director of Frapira Sales Europe and Canada, and he ran a national electricity contracting company with 150 employees. So his background is very much in construction safety, electrics, and so on. Of course, his experience basically led him to look at improving safety within existing structures. So he's worked with a team of people. One of the if we go to the website and look at the team, there is a technical and product development manager called Daika Aidi, who is based in the Tokyo office, and he's worked in the fire protection industry for over 20 years. So it's basically a global team of people. So they have a presence around the world, and they're talking with organizations and governments around the world as we speak. Okay, good. Well, thank you very much, Alan, for giving us the investment case there for both Caracal Gold and Zenova. Thank you, Mark. Thank you for listening to this Stockbox interview. For more information, interviews and videos, visit our website at stockboxmedia.com or give us a follow on Twitter by searching @StockboxMedia.